Chico and Rita. Even if I don't really know a lot about this film, I'm actually quite optimistic regarding this. I mean, it is an independent animated feature, and I did have some good luck with those like The Secret of Kells and Waltz with Bashir. Seriously, go check them out, they're actually really good. In fact, this was actually nominated for Best Animated Feature at the Oscars, alongside another indie animated flick, A Cat in Paris, but lost to ILM's Rango. But will it hit all the right notes, or will this review be set in a different tune? Let's find out. The story. The only way to describe this film is that it's just a love story. But not just any love story, it's the kind that describes what love is best. It's simple to explain where boy meets girl, but everything else afterwards become very complex. They would go far and wide and even do things that would be considered crazy. But it's all for the sake of being together. Even Chico and Rita have to sacrifice almost everything they have just for their love. However, in this film, they bring in one concept to show what could be the biggest enemy of love: living your dreams. Yes, some may argue that being with a loved one is a dream. But what I'm talking about here is a dream that's more personal than one another. Chico wants to be a renowned musician and pianist, while Rita wants to be a Hollywood star and popular singer. What this movie is trying to explain is that love and dreams are both completely different things, so much so that they act like polar opposites, and when people try to mix these two together, things just completely fall apart.
Para mí sigue siendo la misma.
Pero, ¿no te das cuenta que todo ha cambiado? Mírame. Aquella muchachita, la que hiciste llorar, se quedó en La Habana.
It does happen when it can work together to make great things, but most of the time, if they want to pursue their dreams, they'll have to break each other's hearts. If they want to rekindle their love, they might put their dream career in jeopardy. But the worst would be when you have people involved on one side. Sure, they'll still help you, but they can go to unpredictable measures to screw with the opposite side. And that's where the complexity of this film comes in. The movie gives this feeling of joy, but there's also a bit of uncertainty if the characters are truly happy, thus putting them in a tough mindset of which one do they want the most, their dream or each other. This is the kind of film that's pretty hard to describe in detail, but all you have to say is that Chico and Rita is a thought-provoking love story, and you get a good idea of what it's all about. The animation. It's been a long time since I've seen something like this. No big CGI extravaganza that's trying to overshadow the other big-name animated flicks like the ones nowadays. Just some good, wholesome 2D animation. For the style of the overall look, since the movie is themed to Cuban music, have you ever been in some hotel or bar lounge where they would also have a jazz band playing? Have you ever noticed the paintings in those rooms as decor? That's exactly what this movie looks like, and it really enhances the mood whenever Chico and/or Rita would play their music.
Tanto tiempo disfrutamos de este amor. Nuestras almas se acercaron tanto así que yo guardo tu sabor. Pero tú llevas también sabor a mí.
It's like if you're actually watching them perform. For the design of the characters, the movie kept a mix of a realistic and stylized look, kinda like a simpler Archer in a way. But in their animation, they move in a much more realistic manner where there's a good chance that rotoscoping might have been involved. In fact, some of it do look quite impressive, especially when you see the band play their tunes or just Rita dancing. If there is one small flaw I'd have to find, it would be that the use of computer animation can be a bit of a mix. Sometimes it blends well with the overall look of the film, like the backgrounds and the vehicles, but sometimes when they try to move the camera, things can seem a bit wonky. so there could have been a bit more polishing there. But other than that, the animation does exactly what it's supposed to. It's not to show all the pretty magic it can do, it's just to enhance the mood of the tale it's trying to tell us. The characters. Although you see a lot of people in this film, it all comes down to only 4 characters that this movie is all about. Of course, there's Chico and Rita, and then there are their agents Ramon and Ron. But let's start with the title characters. Chico, the man who wants to be a pianist, is the one that sparked the love and the man who goes to so many lengths just so he could be with his one true love. Admittedly though, he's not the ideal lover boy. He does have his flaws. He can be conflicted between what he wants and Rita, and he tends to always have some side girls in case Rita's not there. As for Rita herself, she's a woman that's really struggling with her life. She's trying to live her dream as a Hollywood star, but she has to also deal with her love for Chico and the United States position on race during the 50s, which both make her emotions the biggest obstacle to her dreams. Then there are the agents. Like Ramon is like Chico's friend who would stick by him thick and thin. What's interesting about him is that he starts out as a friend, but the more Chico becomes a star, the more he acts like his agent. But then there's Rita's agent, Ron. Honestly, the movie should have given him more depth. He's not often in the film, but he always gives out this feeling that everything he does is evil, looking like the big bad guy of the movie. It would have been more interesting if Ron had appeared more in a light similar to Ramon. I mean, he did make Rita's dream come true.
¿Qué?
As for the rest, they have a pretty minor role, even more than Ron, but they do serve as an obstacle for Chico and Rita's dream or love. Like Juana is Chico's current girlfriend. Yeah, trust me, Chico's side girl problems is bigger than you think. And Chano Pozo shows how it really is to be a Cuban musician in the US. Although they have a bit of flaws, they're still great representations of characters just being human. Chico and Rita is the kind of film that really knows how to define what love is, by showing its advantages and pleasures while also showing its consequences and torments. And by mixing it with nice animation, realistic characters, and great Cuban music, the result is a passionate and very entertaining movie. If you're interested in something romantic, but want something more serious than a Disney princess flick, then this is definitely it. Also, I highly recommend that kids should probably not watch this. The story and how the film described what love is would be too complex for them to understand. Oh, and I forgot to mention that there's a lot of nudity and drugs in the film. I think that's kind of important to mention as well. I can see how it managed to get an Oscar nomination. It may not get the trophy, but it does earn the AniMat's seal of approval. Hey guys, this is AniMat. Now, if there was one thing about Chico and Rita that I was really interested about, I was curious if it was actually based on a true story. I mean, when you watch the movie, the setting actually feels very, very realistic. And some of the characters in there are actually Cuban musicians that actually existed during the 40s and 50s. But then after much research, I discovered that, well, no, it's not based on a true story. However, I would like to point out that the style of the story is actually very similar to the Borello. Now, the Borello is like some kind of Latin or Cuban music where it tells a very similar story where they they pretty much say a love story that shows both the positives and the negatives. So it's really interesting that Chico and Rita really emphasizes and they really capture the spirit of Cuban music in general. So, you know, major kudos to them. That really is interesting. However, it's time that we move on to the next review in the animation hat. And by the way, if you guys have an animated film you would like me to review and I would put in the animation hat, then write me an email at animatsreviews@gmail.com. Alright? So let's see now. Wait, I almost got it. Hey, Jibbity, come on. Ah! Oh man. These things are usually tough. Oh, come on. Now they're just teasing me. Oh, come on. There we go. Okay, I got this. Got this. And I think none of them fell. Finally, let's clean up for me. And the next review shall be... This is a small piece of paper. What? Ooh. Ooh, okay. You know, funny enough, I actually got a lot of requests. For this one, funny enough. But, oddly enough, it's kind of funny. Because with this, like, normally I expect like a long title or something, but no, I end up just getting a number.